Hello everybody and welcome back. And the party are here. They're in the Thanaton camp, enjoying the hospitality of a celebration party. Please do not think of the Ewoks at the end of Return of the Jedi. This is much more formal and less comedic. We have kept our half of the bargain by freeing the Thanaton, at least temporarily, from the threat of the Aranea. As I did hint the last time, there were some eggs hidden somewhere in that nest. But it's time for the Thanaton to keep their half of the bargain, and the two guides that they have given us are going to help us find a way up this mountain of death and to see what is on the top of it. Just as a reminder, one hex is 6 miles, so this plateau is roughly a 20-mile diameter. So there's a lot of room for things to happen both on top of it and maybe even underneath it. Right. So we will set off in the morning, and with our guides we move slightly quicker, and for the first day, because we're in the trees, this is the Thanaton territory, so they will give us the heads up for any unexpected encounters. So let's set off, and is there anything in the morning? Let us roll for an encounter on a roll of 4 to 6. Yep, and there is one. Okay. 25. Giant elk? Okay, well I think we can leave those giant elk to their own business. Right, let's move on and roll for an evening encounter, which has a lower chance. That's fine. Right, so we can bed down for the night, and we're going to leave the jungle and head into bleaker, more barren land. Well, the trees aren't going to be so tall, but some of the lower slopes will still be quite thick with vegetation. It just says mountain, it doesn't say tree-covered mountain, but we've all seen pictures of jungles. The lower hills are still quite well covered in vegetation. So I will still use the jungle encounter rate for at least the first line of hexes. And yep, there is again. Chance for a wandering monster on the next day. And that's an 86. That's another Triceratops. Okay, now we will have the heads up on that. We will automatically get surprise on it, but it can also get surprise on us. It doesn't. So are we going to take on this Triceratops, or are we going to try and give it a wide berth? Well, let's see how far away we are from it. And that's not that far. That's 120 yards away. Right, I think in this kind of dense jungle, that's enough for us to see it, but for it not to see us. So imagine walking through a jungle, and there, off to your right, you see, through the trees, a large shape tearing and crunching at leaves and bushes. I think we'll leave it alone. It's probably more than happy to ignore us. So that brings us to the night in the lower slopes of the jungle. There isn't an encounter, so for the next day we're going to move into the more bleak, higher terrain. And as we look back, we can actually get quite a good view of the island itself and where we have been. And the party can pause and think about all the adventures they've been through that got them to this point. Ahead is a rope bridge across a ravine. It's rather rickety. Is there anything on the rope bridge? There isn't, so we can cross that with some ease. Now we have a problem. In front of us is a massive, not quite vertical plateau. It's climbable, there are ledges and many crevices, and indeed its volcanic structure has given it the basalt column exterior, at least in parts. Well, at least on Earth, rock climbers do attempt to go up them, but our Thanaton guides are urging us to travel around to the east towards this river. But it's getting late. Let's see if there is anything for this evening. There isn't, so we can wake up the next day and move eastwards. Did we encounter anything on a roll of 5 or 6? We didn't. Right. They do see this black river flowing as a waterfall, from 3,000 feet above them. This is a sensational sight, and as unwanted as it is to try and end this adventure, at least it has given them a whole new world to look at with new creatures and new lands to explore. I would say the people who are probably getting the most from this are Sylvia, who feels more at ease when she is not settled and is travelling, and Donard, who has in the past travelled. But this waterfall does not help us in any way climb this sheer surface. There has to be another thing to do. And as we get out our ropes, the little Thanaton creatures, who are just about halfling sized, tug at our cloaks and pull us towards a large boulder. In fact, there's a whole massive scree and boulders at the base of this. Thousands of years of erosion has made a lot of this fall off, and the land below is rocky, empty terrain they had to scramble over. And behind one of these boulders is a cave. They can speak a sort of broken Elvish, and Sylvia understands that they tell us this is the way in and up. Right, we hadn't thought of internal way up before, but if this goes wrong, we still might need our guides. So we're going to ask these Thanaton if they can hang around for a day at least, or maybe 2, for us to come out again and to check whether or not this is the way up. We ask them how do they know it's the way up. They don't know, but part of their stories tell them that this is the way up, and they also say, rather sadly, that people go missing in these caves and they're never seen again. Well, that's rather ominous. So, let's bed down for the night. Are we attacked by anything that has come out of these caves, maybe? We aren't. With this very dark, small crevice hidden behind a boulder, looking back at us, we're going to move to one side and try and set up camp in this really inhospitable, uneven terrain. And we're going to wake up the next day and explore this cave system. And here is the party, represented by this letter P. Should I need to split them up in a bigger fight, I will do that. Right, this cave is dark. If there is any natural light, it would be bioluminescence from fungus, or else there may be creatures who use torches and lanterns. If you remember, Malin has a garnet gem, which Donard cast continual light on. He has put the gem into the middle of his lantern, and it shines brightly with a slightly pinkish hue to it. He's more than happy, and we will enter into this cave system, and immediately we're faced with a left or right decision. Unfortunately, our guides aren't here to help. I'll roll a dice for everybody, and the vote is 1 to 3 for westward and 4 to 6 for eastward. Definitely, most people, apart from Liz and Donard, want to go westward. Right, we're back onto dungeon crawling speed of 60 feet for every 10 minutes. I haven't put a scale on this, perhaps I should have, but I'm going to say that this here is roughly 60 feet. So it takes another turn to get to here. Luckily, because of the continual light gem, we don't have to worry about flasks of oil or torches running out, unless the party gets split up. We come round a corner, and we're faced in the edge of the light with 2 wounded people. One is a Rakasta, the cat-like people, and one is a little Thanaton, and they seem to be both trying to help each other crawl forward. But each of them has one hand clutching a chest where they may have been stabbed, and they're not going very far, and in fact, as they see us, they seem to give up and slump against the boulders of the cave. We go up to them and ask what's going on, and the Rakasta says in broken common, "We've escaped, help us." And the little Thanaton speaks much the same, and Sylvia translates. Escaped from where? The endless stare, they say, and they point to behind us. Can we cure them of their wounds? I think we're going to have to in order to get any kind of dialogue from them, so I'll roll for 2 cure light wounds. Spells from Donard. And that's enough to at least stop the bleeding, but they talk about their wounds being infected, and these 2 injured people gasp back at us. "Thank you, but we need the water of life. That might help." What is the water of life? and they point up to this corridor here. Whilst their voices and their breathing get stronger, they're still physically exhausted, and they say, "The water of life heals, please get us some." So we're going to cautiously go up here. Now before we do that, we're going to ask, is the water of life guarded? Because it sounds precious, it probably will be guarded. And they shake their heads and say, at times yes, at times no. It's the only water source in these caves, so everybody will use it at some point. Be careful. And we ask, what does this water of life look like? And the caster tells us it's a waterfall. So we're going to go this way, creeping slowly, looking around for any traps or anything. There isn't anything. And we come round a corner, and sure enough, because of the damp, there is a slight bioluminescence fungus, which is giving a very faint glow. So Carrick tells Malin to shutter the lantern. So Carrick and Sylvia poke their heads around the corner and look into this cave. The one thing they can hear is the waterfall at the far end crashing into a pool. They don't really see anything. If there is anything there, either the bioluminescence is just enough to disrupt their infravision, but it's not strong enough for them to actually see with normal vision. And also there is quite a mist around the pool that's been generated by the waterfall, and indeed the rocks in this area are very slick and wet. So there is nothing else to do but beckon the whole party to go forward. Malin opens his lantern, and there in front of them are 4 strange giant lizards. These lizards have giant fins on their backs, and they have low squat bodies. These are Dimetrodons. Yep, it's more Lost World dinosaurs here. Because they're drinking the water, they feel quite vulnerable. Right, did we get surprise on them? Or perhaps 2 of them weren't drinking and got surprise on us? There is no surprise. Right, these creatures are both carnivorous and hostile. They don't like being surprised when they feel vulnerable. So the attack is on. Let us roll for initiative. There is no initiative. Intentions. Right, we're going to have to fan outward. There's 4 of these creatures, and we're going to try and make sure that it's only just one-on-one, with the 4th one picking its second target. We also need to give room for the archers, so I think at least the missile round will be taken up by our 3 archers trying to find line of sight. That's movement for them. That's the missile round gone. Spells round. Because this is mutual, their movement round is to close ranks with the 3 melee fighters, so Fireball won't be used. Right, so we've got Donard, Carrick and Tybor in the front. There's a Dimetrodon on each of them, and whoever rolls the lowest unfortunately gets the second one on them. And that's Donard, our cleric. Clearly these 2 people, Carrick, they were like, don't come close to us. Right. Which is kind of good because Donard has both the lowest armor class and the most hit points. So let's do melee, and I shall do the Dimetrodons first. They have 1 attack, but it's quite a vicious attack. 2 on Donard. They have a Thaco of 13. His armor class is -2, so they need a 15 or more to hit him. First one misses. The second one misses. Right, there's 1 on Carrick. His armor class is -1. They need a 14 or more. And they get it, and that's 9 points. Our dwarf is down to 23, and Tybor's armor class is not that good. His armor class is 3. They only need a 10 or more to hit him. And they do for 8 points. Tybor's down to 22. Right. Maybe Sylvia should have cast haste. So, we're about to try and hit back. Let's do our cleric on one of the Dimetrodons on him. Well, he hits, but not great. It's from 24 to 19. Let Carrick have a go. And he fumbles badly. These lizards are giving me the heebie-jeebies. And let's see if Tybor can do anything. Right, his melee attack was 12, so he hits armor class 4. They have armor class 5. He does hit, and he does 2d6 plus 4, so that is 13 points. His Dimetrodon is down to 11. Okay, that's round number 1. Round number 2. We get initiative. Right, is Sylvia going to cast her haste spell? Or is she going to leave it in case things get worse? I think she's going to leave it. I think Malin will cast his magic missile. Right, there's no movement. Missiles, well, the 3 archers have found a position where they have line of sight, so they won't do that fumble hit where they hit somebody in the back of the head. Let's get Liz. Liz hits. She does +2 for her short bow training, +1 for her short bow +1, so that is just 4 damage. One of the ones on Donard, the one that's off to the side, is down to 19. Sylvia. She hits with a short range bonus, and that one is down to 15. Maradin, he also has longbow training, but he doesn't have any magical bows. He hits, and he does 3 damage. It's down to 12. Spells. Malin is going to cast Magic Missile on the Dimetrodon that's on Tybor, and he gets 3 missiles. And that's 8 plus 3 is 11. It's enough to kill it, so that one is dead. Tybor can turn his attention to a different one, but he goes last because he's two-handed. Melee one-handed. Donard misses. Carrick fumbles again. Tybor doesn't go, so we've got 2 attacks on our cleric. The first one misses. The second one misses. Well, I'm using the wrong damage dice. We've got 1 attack on Carrick. Right, that hits him for another 8 points. He's down to 15. Okay, then we have 2-handed melee, and that's Tybor, who's going to help out our dwarf. And he hits, and he does a stonking 14 damage. That's enough to take the one that's on Carrick down to 10 hit points. Right, round number 3. They get initiative. Okay, let's do a morale check. Right, the morale fails. Good, they're going to run, and we are going to let them run. Oh, actually, should we let them run? Because they're going to pass by our damaged friends, and they may attack them. No, we can't let them run. They have to get past us. So that is what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and push past us. That gives us essentially a free attack. We might have to pursue them. I'll check their speed. So let's do missiles again. We'll have Liz shoot one of them. She hits and takes 1 from 19 down to 12. I'll have Maradin shoot 1. He misses. Sylvia shoot 1. She hits. She takes 6 points off another one. It's down to 6. So their hit points are 12, 6 and 10. Donard, the one that was trying to push past him, he fumbles and misses. Carrick, the one that was trying to pass him, he hits and wipes it out. And Tybor is going to have a go at one of the ones that was on Donard. That's a rather low roll. That's a 6. He misses. Okay, so their 2 Dimetrodons have managed to push past the party and are going down this corridor. There is a chance they may, in their pain and panic, attack these 2 wounded creatures that we're trying to help. We need to pursue. Right, This is the Dungeon Master book on page 16, talking about evasion and pursuit. It's only session 164, and I'm still referring to new rules in the red book. Okay, I haven't really used this before. And when monsters flee, it's up to the DM's discretion if they do. When monsters start to run away, ask the characters whether they want to pursue. If the answer is yes, the chase begins with the monsters 1 round ahead of the party. Find the monster's movement rate per round to find the number of feet between the groups at the start of the pursuit. Next, compare the movement rates of individual characters, so on and so forth. Right. So these Dimetrodons barged past Carrick and Donard, pushed their way through the archery back line, who, since they have bows, cannot shoot at short range. So these Dimetrodons get 1 round of movement ahead of us. And if we look at their movement rate, it's just 40 feet per round. So that would put them about here. We're going to pursue. We move at 60 feet, so we've already closed half the gap by the time they get to here. Will the archers shoot? I don't think so. This little passage here is too narrow, and once Donard, Tybor and Carrick give pursuit, there won't be line of sight for anybody with ranged. We're going to close ranks with the Dimetrodons as they get to about here. Luckily, our 2 wounded escapees are hiding slightly round the corner in this little alcove here. There doesn't seem to be any rules on additional combat bonuses when pursuing, so we will fight as normal. They are not going to fight back in this first round because we've just caught up with them. So let's do Donard, who hits armor class 5, does 9 damage, and he takes 1 from 12 to 3. I'll do Carrick, who hits and kills 1. And I'll do Tybor, who misses. That was our turn, and this Dimetrodon is cornered. I shall do another morale check to see whether it continues to run. It doesn't, it turns and fights, so it has to pick somebody to fight. That was a choice between Donard and Tybor. And it's undecided between the 2. Right, okay, it eventually settles on Donard. So let's roll for initiative. It gets initiative, and so it gets to attack our cleric. And it misses badly. Right, so it's our go. Can Donard hit back? It only has 3 hit points. Nope, he fails. Our dwarf. Yep, he does what's needed, and that is a decapitation. Okay, right, so we've got 4 Dimetrodons dead. We have a rather alarmed pair of escapees who are wounded. And the archers and Malin come running round the corner. The fight is over, so I think Donard will say to the wounded people, yep, that water of life has been guarded, better be worth it. So they're going to make their way back up to the waterfall, and they're going to fill a water skin from this waterfall, and the person who does it, I'll say that's Donard, he is the healer. He notices that the mist coming off isn't just spray, it's actually steam. This water is very hot. It won't be apparent because it's frothing and a water skin is opaque, but if this water was in a glass, it would look slightly milky because of all the minerals in it. And it's really these minerals that give it its healing properties. We take the water flask back to the escapee slaves. They take a little sip of each, and then they ask Donard to use the rest to wash their wounds. And it does seem to have some cleansing properties. It would be a good idea for the party to fill up at least 1 or 2 of their own water skins with this water. And whilst it isn't a healing potion, if a person is just wounded, 1 drink will heal 1 hit point, but if they are poisoned, it won't nullify the poison totally. But what it will do is it will weaken the poison, so it goes from deadly to incapacitating. If a person is poisoned and they drink the water of life, they will probably have to spend 3 days in a state of incapacity until they recover. That's still better than death. So our 2 new little friends are feeling a bit better and they're able to speak to us. We tell them that there are 2 Phanatons outside who will guide them to safety. But these people warn us of some strange creatures that live in the caves to the east, that go out into the jungle at night at times and go hunting, and they will probably pursue and kill them. So we have to do another service and clear, well, not just for them, but for us, because we don't want to be hunted at night time. We're pointed to this boulder-filled passage, which narrows into a tiny crack for 1 person only to go through, and we're told that this is where these creatures live. We ask for any identifying features. We're told they look slightly reptilian, amphibious, frog-like, lizard-like are the terms used, and we're told that they smell. You can smell them before you see them. And we instantly think of troglodytes with their nauseating attack. After we've killed them, where do we go next? These 2 claim they were escapee slaves. Where did they escape from? And they point us in the direction of this tunnel, which seems to go under and through another passage, and they say it leads upward to the endless stair. We're going to help these 2 outside, and we're going to help them with find our own Phanaton guides, and then they can camp there for the night, recover for a bit until they're fit to move back home again. Then we're going to try and clear out this area here. Then we're going to try and find this endless stair. But tomorrow we can ask the 2 escapees for more information. All that will happen next time. So I will see you then.